Welcome into Chicago Bears Now. I am your host, Harrison Graham. We've got some breaking news. Allen Robinson has been placed under the NFL franchise tag by Chicago, and this is no surprise, right? We're going to expand right here on this thought. They have tagged him. The deadline was today, Tuesday, at 4 o'clock Eastern Time. They get it done at about 2 o'clock Eastern Time, a couple of hours before the buzzer. Really the last big name out there, as we saw Chris Godwin get tagged, Kenny Golladay not get tagged. We were all waiting on Allen Robinson. Well, the Bears have officially done it, and his cap hit for this season, if he plays under the tag, will be roughly $18 million. Now, and we'll expand on this thought later on, keep in mind both sides can come to an agreement on a long-term deal. This is no surprise. Let's just be very, very clear on that front. We all saw this coming. I've been telling you guys this for months, that Allen Robinson will be placed under the franchise tag because A, the two sides haven't spoken since September, so a long-term deal before the tag deadline was unlikely, and B, you don't just let number one wide receivers hit the open market when you have control, aka the franchise tag. That doesn't make any sense. It was no surprise that Ryan Pace and the Bears ultimately have decided to place A-Rob under the franchise tag. It's unfortunate a long-term deal hasn't come into play at this point, but at least the Bears haven't just let him go like Detroit appears to be doing with Kenny Golladay, for example. What is your one-word reaction to Allen Robinson getting tagged? Go ahead and let me know down in the comments section. I want to hear from you guys. One-word reaction to A-Rob getting tagged by the Chicago Bears. My one word, expected. Again, this is no shock. This is not surprising. If you're caught off guard by this, you haven't been paying attention to us here on Chicago Bears Now by Chat Sports. This is something that has been discussed in a major, major way. Allen Robinson was always going to get tagged when a long-term deal didn't get done back in September, back in October, when it should have gotten done even before that. This was always going to be the outcome. Now we await the steps to see if Ryan Pace and A-Rob and his agent can get back to the negotiating table and hopefully get a long-term deal done before that July 15th deadline. And hopefully that happens because, as I've mentioned before, Allen Robinson is a premier number one receiver. Don't believe me? The last two seasons, only I believe 3 or 4 receivers have put up more yards than Allen Robinson. And he's played with guys like Mitch Trubisky, no offense, Nick Foles, he's bad, Chase Daniel, who the Lions overpaid to be their backup. They're trying to create a fake trade market for. That's how bad he is. Tyler Bray got a few snaps. Allen Robinson still had over 1,200 yards and 6 touchdowns this year and over 1,100 yards and 7 touchdowns the year before. And I guarantee you he'd be a double-digit touchdown guy with a better quarterback, which hopefully is coming the Bears' way very, very soon, and maybe that could impact if both sides can come to a long-term agreement before the deadline comes and goes for that in July. But for now, Allen Robinson is under the franchise tag. Now, I do want to ask you this, because this is possible. Will Allen Robinson demand a trade from the Chicago Bears? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Go ahead and get your thoughts in on this one. Will A-Rob demand a trade? And I tell you what, if Allen Robinson does demand a trade, we're going to make a video about it, just like we're making this video, because that's what we do here on Chicago Bears Now. This is why you subscribe. We cover the latest breaking news, the latest Bears rumors, and more videos. A couple of you guys in the comments recently, will you talk about news for once? Well, here you go. This is as big a news as you're going to get right now when it comes to the Chicago Bears. It's Rumors SZN, but trust me, when news happens, we cover it here on this channel. You see the link below. It's youtube.com/BearsNow. Go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss any of it, like when Allen Robinson gets franchise tagged by the Chicago Bears. So the Bears tag Robinson, and I want to circle back to bullet number 3 here. July 15th is the deadline for a long-term deal, roughly. Usually it's mid-July. Last year it was July 15th. It'll be somewhere around that once again. And that deadline is for tag players. So players who get tagged, like Brandon Scherff in Washington, Allen Robinson in Chicago, that doesn't mean that the two sides can't come to a long-term contract. And I do want to emphasize that point. it's possible that the Bears find a quarterback soon and are like, all right, we found our quarterback. Now let's commit to getting A-Rob back long term so these two can grow together for the next several years in Chicago. That is a possibility. The Bears could be looking at this, do we want to commit to Allen Robinson for 4 or 5 years and then be stuck with, Nick Foles at quarterback next year? That may not be the route they want to go. I would still extend Allen Robinson or sign Allen Robinson long term no matter what, and you figure out quarterback later, but that could be their thought process. The problem, though, is Allen Robinson doesn't trust Ryan Pace at this point. And why would he, right? Like, he chose to sign in Chicago a few years ago after a few years with Jacksonville over Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, I might add. Balled out for 3 seasons, especially these past 2 years, and still can't get a contract with Chicago after making it clear for the better part of a year and a half this is where he's wanted to be. Those thoughts have certainly waned from his mind in recent months, saying, if we get a deal done, great. If not, so be it. Ryan Pace has botched this process. There's just no way around it at the end of the day. You could have gotten a deal done before this last season for not a cheap contract, but less than what it's going to be now, less than what it's going to be next offseason. If he plays under the tag and then hits free agency next year, he's going to cost even more, especially when the cap goes up. And that's what you got to be thinking, too, if you're the Bears. Yeah, it might be a little expensive, but when the cap goes up next year, just backload it, and you're good to go on that front. This can be salvaged, but so far, Ryan Pace has really botched this process between him and Allen Robinson. If you don't trust Ryan Pace, like Allen Robinson, like me, type me in the comments because I've made it pretty clear. I don't trust Ryan Pace as a GM. He can't evaluate quarterbacks very well, and he signs guys like Robert Quinn to $70 million when you could just extend Allen Robinson. But that's neither here nor there. Type me in the comments if you don't trust Ryan Pace. I'm the man you should trust. Follow me on Twitter at HGramNFL. I'm going to spit the truth when it comes to the Chicago Bears. I give other NFL thoughts as well on my Twitter page at HGramNFL. We'll get that link in the comments, the description. If you're watching live, we'll put it on the live chat as well. Follow me on Twitter at HGramNFL. Let's get more followers over there. Okay. You think about what Allen Robinson is worth. No one is saying he's worth DeAndre Hopkins money. And by the way, A-Rob recently said he's not. There was a fake report on Twitter saying he's demanding $25 million per year just under DeAndre Hopkins. And Robinson literally was like, this is fake. Like, this isn't true. What he is worth is Amari Cooper money. I think they are very similar in terms of production and what they bring to the table. Now, stylistically, they're a little bit different, but $20 million per year, that's about what Allen Robinson is worth. I think they are – Amari Cooper and Allen Robinson are like Tier 1B, right? Like there's Tier 1A of Hopkins and P. Julio, and I'll throw Tyreek Hill in there and maybe a couple of other guys. Then you got the Keenan Allens, the Amari Coopers, the Allen Robinsons of the world, and those guys make low 20s in the millions. That's just what these guys go for these days. And I think Allen Robinson is more than worthy of being in that category. I hope a deal gets done before July 15th because that'll make him happy. That'll make Bears fans happy. It sure as hell will make me happy if Allen Robinson is locked up long-term in Chicago. But I will at least say, at least they didn't pull a Detroit and just say, we'll just let him hit the open market like the Lions did with Kenny Golladay. Very bad idea by Detroit. So I'll give the Bears a little credit for that, but they really have screwed this up for the better part of a year when it comes to Allen Robinson. Now, will Allen Robinson play on the Bears in 2021? Because that's not a given. He could demand a trade. Type 1 for yes. Type 2 for no. Get your votes in. Will A-Rob be in Chicago next season?